Hello and welcome along to a little bank holiday extra here at Painting Classic Cars. We've not done this for a little while, responding to a couple of points made in the videos. So we thought we'd just do one of these quickly. Bank Holiday Monday. TVR videos just come out with some great response. Again, we can't thank you all enough for this. One of the questions raised in that, gentleman asked what our thoughts are on changing colour on your classic vehicle and how that affects values and so on and so forth. We are asked this quite a lot, and our view is it's your car, it's your money, it's your choice, basically. Expanding upon that a little bit, then yes, if you're going to paint a Ferrari or something of high value, some weird and wonderful out there sort of pearlescent pink or yellow, again, your money, your choice, but that's probably going to have an impact on values. The market's changed a lot recently, though, and there is a good deal of emphasis still on originality. But as the marketplace is changing, we're finding more and more resto mods, and people are using classic cars for a different purpose now. More and more are actually becoming daily vehicles with modern engine transplants, running gear, and in some ways we've seen a little bit of a shift in purpose, as I just said, but the people that lusted after, say, a 60s Mark II Jag or 50s and 60s vehicles, they're moving they're getting older. So they're not as in demand as they were. And in the real world, some of these classic cars aren't really suited to everyday use. And we're seeing more and more, as I say, modernise. And with that comes changes in colour. It's all down to personal preference. One of the things to bear in mind with changing the colour is a colour change is very different to a repaint. If I use for an example here, we've got our 65 Impala. Now this car was a light metallic blue when it left the factory. It was already a dark blue when we bought the car, and we've modified that colour further. It's now a modern Jaguar colour, which is a really nice pearl dark blue. The advantage with doing a colour change on something like the Impala is under the bonnet is all satin black from the factory. Whereas if we look at, say, the Mercedes we have here, this is in for a full bare metal repaint, and the customer was in two minds about changing the colour on the car. So we were asked, what are our thoughts on changing the colour of the car? The difficulty you have with something like this is under the bonnet of this and in the engine bay is body colour. So a colour change is a lot more work. To do this properly, engine and gearbox has to come out. The engine bay needs stripping and prepping. Doing a colour change and not changing all of it looks like you've done it on the cheap. It looks temporary. So our view on colour changes, again to reiterate, your car, your money, your choice. If you're spending this kind of money getting a car painted, have it painted the colour you want it to be. But if you're gonna change the colour, change all of the colour. I don't think a tastefully altered colour is going to affect your value too much. But if you paint, say, take Mercedes here, we're looking at possibly a dark mid-metallic graphite grey. If you paint the outside of the car dark metallic graphite grey and leave under the bonnet metallic blue, that's going to impact on your value and saleability. So colour changes, totally down to you. We're fully in favour of those, but we do also understand, of course, the originality aspect. The divided market. So I don't think you're going to lose. The next thing that's come up quite a few times is, do we use lead loading? Yes and no. Yes, we can. Do we encourage it? No. And I know there's going to be a large group of people that this may upset. Old school, I'm all for old school, but equally technologies move on. Lead loading was fantastic in its time, but if you look, manufacturers haven't used lead now since the early 80s. So if we take the health side and put that to one side, because every part of this trade has health and safety issues, and obviously lead poisoning, lead particles and so on, it's not good for you, but take the appropriate health and safety measures and you'll be fine. On an application and a practical point of view, We've not done lead loading for a good number of years here now because products changed. Lead loading is old school. And back in the 70s and 80s, body fillers were truly horrific. Well, that's changed. They're not like they were anymore. And the paint process has changed. We've found that epoxies don't really like sticking to lead. We've had issues with adhesion there. And if we look at lead in itself, the tallows and the fluxes that are used for lead loading contain acidic properties. And that acid does come through the lead. It does come through and it does affect the paint surface. Lead also moves. Despite what people claim, it does contract, it does expand, so that can cause issues. We've seen numerous vehicles over the years where you melt out the lead and the seam that the lead is covering is rusty because there are inbuilt issues in using lead. Our preferred method, and the method that if you came to us and said, we want this lead loaded, we'd lead load it for you. We'd try and explain the advantages of using other methods, which are epoxies. We talk about epoxies a lot. All bare metal we put into an epoxy straight away. Now, to lead load, you need clean bare steel. You can't lead over an epoxy painted surface. It needs to be clean bare metal. So that throws the epoxy out of the equation, and the epoxy does hermetically seal onto the metalwork. So we're all in favour of that. Bearing in mind that lead loading was only actually used in factories to cover heavy panel joints. It wasn't used for dents or imperfections and so on. It was just used where one panel meets another, which is, again, that's part of a production line which is sped up. If you're restoring a vehicle, where that joint is, there's nothing to stop you seam welding that. And there's your strength, and there's the join properly made, and then epoxy coat it. On top of the epoxy coating, we can then put our chosen, again, we've talked about this a lot, is Novel's elastic fiber, which uses resin polymers and fiberglass strands. It's incredibly robust. It has elasticity in it because of the resins that are used. It doesn't move. It's a solid, again, waterproof on top of the epoxy. So at every stage we're dry and we're fighting against the hygroscopic nature of acrylics and so on. So there is now no real need to be using lead because technology's moved forward, and what we have now is far better at doing the job than lead was. It's quicker, therefore cheaper, it's safer, and in our mind it's stronger. Even if you look at, say, a lot of the SEMA built show cars and things like that, there's a gentleman called Mick Jenkins. He's a British custom car painter who is now out in the States and has been for many years. He's worked for Boyd Coddington, he's worked for Chip Foose, he's done a load of SEMA cars. And he's actually quite vocal on the reasons not to use lead. And a lot of his cars will actually go to SEMA in bare metal before paint, obviously. And they're fully lead loaded and they look stunning. And that is purely for show. The minute the cars go back to the body shop, all the lead is taken out and they go down the epoxy and their equivalent of the elastic fiber route because it works. It's better. It's just better. Technology moves forward. So, bit of a boring little chit chat video rather than a look at this lovely painted car video. But I hope it answers a couple of questions that people have asked. And yeah, we'll be back with some more car stuff very soon. I think we've got a Ferrari coming up on Wednesday. So subscribe and tune in and see how Ferrari gets put back together here.